This is macOS Ken.
Slow and Steady keeps winning the smartphone race, another caveat-laden DMA concession in Europe, and Apple still knows its way around the White House. It is Wednesday, the 13th of March, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. BofA analyst Wamsi Mohan may have a mantra for investors worried about iPhone sales. Slow and steady wins the race. MarketWatch had Mr. Mohan eyeing Apple's answer to telephony. While shipments may have gone down over the past few years, the piece has the analyst indicating that iPhone continues to win market share in terms of both industry revenue and units. Put simply, the analyst says he and his continue to see Apple ship more high-value units over time and thereby continue to take revenue share. As for the number of people buying used iPhones, Mohan says that is a win on a couple of fronts. BofA expects those who choose to buy used iPhones will slowly over time move to buy new iPhones, and those that buy new iPhones will keep up with the iPhone refresh cycle of approximately every 4 years. Even if they go from used iPhone to used iPhone, though, that is cool and the gang. Quoting MarketWatch, those who opt to buy used iPhones from third parties still contribute to Apple's coffers. Services revenue per device in Apple's installed base reached $73.01 last year from $50.59 in 2019, and Mohan expects a further move higher. The analyst has a buy rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $225. Another DMA-related change on the way for developers and consumers in the European Union. Engadget had Apple announcing a new web distribution option opening for the EU this spring. That means no capital A, capital S App Store, no third-party App Store, just direct-to-consumer selling, provided they're old enough and big enough. To be eligible, says Engadget, developers will need to opt into new App Store rules that see them pay a fee for each user install after certain thresholds, and be an Apple Developer Program member that's been in good standing for at least 2 years. Also, they'll need to have an app that had more than 1 million first annual installs on iOS in the EU in the prior calendar year, among other criteria. Those rules sound stringent, though Engadget says they are security-focused. The site says with those regulations, Apple's hope is to minimize the risk that users will be installing sketchy apps, such as ones containing malware or those that support piracy. That said, the site expects blowback. Given the criticism levied against the company for seemingly only sticking to the letter of the EU's Digital Markets Act and not its spirit, Engadget says the fact that the company is exerting control over app downloads from the web may come under scrutiny as well. If you're a GarageBand user, there is an update about which you need to know. 9to5Mac says Apple released GarageBand 10.4.11 on Tuesday. No new features in this one, though it does address a security issue. Specifically for macOS, the piece says the update fixes a security exploit that could lead to unexpected app termination or arbitrary code execution when processing a maliciously crafted file. Apple says a use after free issue was addressed with improved memory management. Apple Maps has reportedly gotten more bike-friendly for 3 European countries. Mac Rumors says the Cupertino cartographers have expanded the availability of cycling routes by adding support for the countries of Austria, Belgium, and Sweden. If you're not one to get on your bike and ride, the piece says the feature for bicyclers offers such helpful information as bike lanes, bike paths, and bike-friendly routes that highlight steep inclines, stairs, and other obstacles. Mac Rumors does, of course, have readers, which may be where the site got this information. While there's little reason to doubt the news, the site says the 3 new countries have not turned up on Apple's list of locations with biking support. Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Mozilla have issued a joint announcement. The 4 took to the web Tuesday to announce Speedometer 3.0. Like version 2 in 2018 and the first version in 2014, the group says version 3 is designed to measure web application responsiveness by simulating user interactions on real web pages. Of course, the web has changed in the last 6 years. Accordingly, the group says Speedometer 3.0 introduces a better way of measuring performance and a more representative set of tests that reflect the modern web. Formerly driven by the WebKit team, the release says this week's update marks the first time the Speedometer benchmark, or any major browser benchmark, has been developed through a cross-industry collaboration supported by each major browser engine. You can find out more information at browserbench.org. Apple is growing its R&D presence in the Middle Kingdom. The South China Morning Post says the Cupertino company is enlarging its applied research operations in mainland China in a couple of places. That'll happen through an expansion of its existing research center in Shanghai, as well as a new lab in Shenzhen. According to the report, the Shenzhen lab is expected to boost Apple's testing and research capabilities for its major products, including the iPhone, iPad, and Vision Pro mixed reality headset, according to the company. The new facility will also serve to strengthen the firm's collaboration with local suppliers. Apple's getting bigger digs in one of Canada's biggest malls. Mac Rumors says the Cupertino company has confirmed plans to open a new store in Mississauga, Ontario's Square One shopping mall. The report says that mall's original Apple store, which opened in 2009, will close permanently. They are trading up, though. The new location is significantly larger, according to Mac Rumors, and will better accommodate the heavy customer traffic at Square One, the second largest indoor shopping mall in Canada. Man, I hope that's not their motto. While the shift has been confirmed, Apple has not offered a date for the new store's opening. We talked yesterday about a couple of unusual Tim Cook sightings to start the week. There was his appearance at the Oscars, unusual because the Oscars are, and his appearance in a Porsche video, unusual because what's Tim Cook doing in a Porsche video? According to a piece from Apple Insider, though, it is not unusual to find him at the White House. Like the White House. According to the report, based on public documents seen by the New York Post, Apple has visited the White House 87 times since President Joe Biden took office in early 2021. That includes trips by Apple lobbyists and Apple executives, including its biggest, Apple's CEO. Mr. Cook has made the journey east 11 times, according to Apple Insider. The piece goes on to say, of those visits, Cook met with at least 14 officials, with the disclosures adding that at least 3 involved President Biden. Cook also participated in at least 2 of the 4 state dinners hosted by Biden, including those attended by French President Emmanuel Macron and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. If you're wondering why, you must be new to our planet. As Apple Insider sums up, the increase in political attention from Apple coincides with that of the U.S. government's interest in the affairs of big tech firms, which has involved multiple attempts by lawmakers to crack down on alleged antitrust behavior. And finally today, you know whether you're getting a decent amount of exercise, but what about the people around you? 9to5Mac has new data from the U.S.-based Apple Heart and Movement Study. The piece says that includes updated trends in activity and cardio fitness, including which states are and are not meeting the recommended 150 minutes of moderate aerobic exercise per week threshold. Run in conjunction with the American Heart Association and Brigham and Women's Hospital, the piece says the study explores connections between physical activity and heart health using Apple products. To figure out which participants are getting either the recommended 150 minutes of moderate aerobic exercise per week, 75 minutes of rigorous aerobic exercise per week, or a combination of the two, Apple measured exercise minutes tracked by Apple Watch. According to 9to5Mac, all study participants who had at least 6 weeks of activity days over a 12-month period were analyzed, providing a total of 92,793 individuals from all over the country. Apple's study found Massachusetts, New York, and Connecticut taking the top 3 spots in terms of getting the recommended amount of exercise. As for areas that might want to put in a bit more effort, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Mississippi came in 48th, 49th, and 50th. 9to5Mac points to a number of reasons for that discrepancy, including living in a walkable city versus a rural area, having access to the outdoors, varying income levels, and other factors. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.